Lead Girl, the Be Well podcast is your dedicated platform for amplifying the voices of Black women in various roles, whether you're a teacher, school leader, higher educational professional, or educational consultant.
Join us as we honor the stories of remarkable Black women and share insights from our distinctive journeys in education and life.
Tune in as we explore the topics that resonate with us as women, as members of the Black community, and champions in education. Welcome to Lead Girl, the Be Well podcast, where we amplify the voices of Black women in educational leadership.
We are your hosts, Trelane.
And Jocelyn.
Good evening, Jocelyn. How are you?
I am doing well. Always excited to have my fellow sisters on to share and really empower others who are watching today. So I'm super excited.
I am too, and I'm really excited for this particular topic. We talk about leadership all the time, and one of the things that I'm always so big on is the fact that you don't have to have a title to lead, right? There's so many things that you can do from the place that you sit, and oftentimes, I've often heard teachers say, "Oh, I'm not a leader." And I'm just like, No, you are leading a whole bunch of beautiful children every day, 18, 25, 20, 30 children every single day. So you are most certainly a leader, and you have to have leadership characteristics in order to be a fantastic teacher. So I'm really excited to talk to these two ladies. So let us get into it.
Hey.
All right. So we have with us Kamaria Barnes, who is an 8th grade math teacher from Detroit, Michigan, with 8 years of teaching experience. A proud Detroiter and graduate student in the University of Michigan's Master of Educational Leadership and Policy program, she is a dedicated advocate for Black and Brown students' rights within the classroom and school spaces. Committed to equity and systemic change, she strives to inspire and empower young Black educators to excel, lead, and transform education for future generations. Welcome, Kamaria.
Hi there. Hello.
We also have with us Marcia Brown, who is an author, speaker, seasoned literacy professional, and life coach out of Orlando, Florida. She is also an educational consultant, advocating for quality training of novice and veteran teachers to become confident, resilient, and supported in their roles in closing the reading gap. Marcia has recently authored a chapter in the soon-to-be published anthology, Her Pain, Her Pen, Her Silence, which speaks to women of faith and how they've turned trials into triumphs. Welcome, Marcia.
Hello. Thank you.
Well, we are certainly glad to have you both here. Can't wait to this anthology comes out too, Marcia. Looking forward to hearing your story and all the things in between. But we'll go ahead and kick things off and start off with, what does leading from where you are mean to you in your current role? Yeah, no, we love as educators to have a wait time. So I want you guys to pause and think about this for a moment. And Kamaria or Marcia, either one of you can lead in.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and jump in. So from my role as a consultant, going in instructional coach, I know that each school has its own unique challenges. And so leading for AM, for me, begins with tapping into my own unique gifts that I bring with every student, every teacher, filling in the gaps, getting to the core of their questions. And so I think as an instructional coach, I can get to those questions by asking the right questions, because sometimes if I'm working with a teacher who is new to her craft, she's not revealing all of the things that she may be going through. And so I'm trying to tap into, okay, what's the gap here? And then meeting her where she is and empowering her in her craft.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you all so much for this opportunity. This is such a great thing. I would say for me, leading from where I'm at, so as was mentioned, I am a teacher, and I would say I show up as who I am. I am a person. I am a Black woman. I have a lot of interests. I have a lot of hobbies. I just show up as who I am as an individual. And I believe that's just enough. That's more than enough when it comes to leadership, wherever you are. So when I'm in the classroom, I'm just my whole individual. So to my kids, I'm Miss Barnes. But to myself, I'm Miss Barnes, but I'm also more than just a teacher. I'm everything that I would identify myself as. Like I said, as a Black woman, as somebody who loves to read, someone who loves to sit and watch football on the weekends. Like the whole self, just my whole self is what I bring into my leadership roles. And being my whole self is empowering because it allows me to be vulnerable with others, and it gives people that access to be vulnerable as well.
That word vulnerable, you
Yeah.
really hit it right there.
Yeah.
Right, Jocelyn?
Right.
I was like,
I
yes.
mean, that's so hard for people in leadership. And I've even and teachers, like no matter where you are, and it's so vital in order to be to have the level of authenticity that your students need, right? Even if that's hard for you to provide. And so
Mhm.
taking that risk and being vulnerable and saying, I am a whole person in front of you. Like I have feelings, I have
Mhm.
things I love to do, I have things that I don't like, right?
Right.
That is so key. I really appreciate that piece. And I mean, when we do that, I think about how much we open up the space for other people to be vulnerable, for other people to lean into their authenticity. So because that then helps us to influence others. So I wanted to see if you could think about a time when maybe you realize like, wow, I actually am influencing my students, or a colleague like really actually delved into something that I suggested to them. I remember some times when I did that and somebody came back and said, I tried that. When I was like, oh, wait, who told you that? And it's the best feeling. But I'm wondering if you all would share a time when you realized that like your influence was beyond your classroom or beyond your school. Anything that you'd like to share about that? Let's go with Kamaria since she ended the last one.
Okay. I would say I believe I realized my impact, or the impact I had like in my class, but also outside my classroom, was in two separate instances. One was when my principal asked me to be a host classroom for teachers to come visit with my instruction. And to me, I'm one of the younger teachers in my building. So I was like, oh my gosh, like a veteran teacher coming to see what I'm doing in the classroom. So it just let me know, like, okay, so maybe what I'm doing is actually impactful, because sometimes, especially as a young teacher, you always are you questioning whether or not you're doing the right thing or not. And it could be easy to just be discouraged with the current role that you are in as a teacher, especially a young teacher. So that was one case. And then another case was during my graduate studies. I was leading a class discussion on a topic in ed policy, and I didn't realize how much of my classmates were inspired by the words that I said until after class. A lot of my classmates came up to me and they told me, we really appreciate you for this perspective, because we never considered this perspective of being a teacher or the positionality of being a young professional within the education sector. So I believe those two moments really made me realize that, you know what, Kamaria, you are doing your thing and you are doing something that not many people can acknowledge. So be proud of yourself for that.
I so love that. Good for
Yeah.
you. Good for you.
Okay, so I recall a time. So as a consultant, you are in and out of schools. You may be there for 15 days, you may be there for 20 days. So I remember starting at this particular school, middle school here in Florida, and the school was having a state visit, and so I'm on my second day there. Didn't know the students. I had my own classroom, and I'm doing student tutorials. and so the principal said, okay, we're getting a state visit. We want to watch you. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And they came in, and I didn't realize that within that moment, that space, that I was getting some impact, because even though I had only known the students for 2 days, I had built rapport very quickly. That experience quickly spread to the company that I was consulting with, which they said, hey, we want more days. We want you guys, we had only I had only been contracted for a few days, and they extended that. So I was like, wow, that was very good impact. So another time was when I was set to coach this veteran teacher within a classroom. And so this particular teacher was just very, kind of stuck in their ways, did not want to take on the suggestions. However, then it gets to a moment I was able to say, let's try this. And he took on the suggestions, and he did it. And he was like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize what an impact it made in his instruction, scores and everything. And so, but again, with consulting, you're moving in and out of schools. And so you may be at a school for 10 days, 15 days. And so you're just not sure, the the impact that you're going to make at the quickest amount of time. And so those are the two instances that I didn't realize, like, wow, made a good impact.
Yay.
But isn't it amazing when when you realize you didn't know? I think oftentimes we amaze ourselves, and then I can say this for myself. Like I don't always go in intending to show out, or
Yeah,
impress others, but sometimes it's just being genuine in the work that you do and the passion
right,
that you bring
right,
to the table
right,
has
right,
had that effect more than when I was really trying to shine. It's like when I
right.
was just really just trying to just make a positive impact. It showed up
Mhm.
more as an impact on others. Would you guys these are the same instances that you've experienced yourself?
Mm.
Can you repeat
Yes.
that last? Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna ask. Can you repeat that last question? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just asking. No, I was just saying, is this something that I was resonating with your experience and kind of connecting to mine and
Oh,
saying, is that been the same for you as well? Like, it's in the moments where you feel that it hasn't, like, you weren't really trying to impress. You were just
mhm.
being passionate and just being positive about the work you're doing and ensuring that you were making a positive impact in that.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And going back to it, can you say your name again?
Kamaria.
Kamaria. Going back to what Kamaria was saying, it's showing up as your authentic self. And I think, like, when you're in schools, in your classroom, when you show up as your authentic self, whether you're vibrant, you're bubbly, whatever it is, the kids can see it, they can see it,
Mhm.
they can sense it, they can feel it, the teachers. And so, and they just appreciate, like, look, I was once a new teacher, and I was scared. And so, and I found some of the veteran teachers also still have some of the same trials. They get burnt out too, just
Mhm.
like novice teachers. And so they're like, hey, like, is something wrong with me? Like, no, girl, there's nothing wrong with you. It happens. It happens. And so, but again, showing up as your authentic self, and, just being real with others.
Yeah. Period.
Yeah, I think that's something people
Period.
need to hear. Yeah. Yeah. And so since you guys you're in different roles, and you see things from, I guess, from a different lens. And so how do you see leadership showing up differently from teachers, coaches, or directors from the district level? And so, like, what's been your experience and how leadership shows up differently?
Okay. Marcy, you want to go first? You want me to?
I'll go first. So I
Okay.
think for me, being that, so I've never been in the role of a principal or assistant principal, but I've served in the admin space, as far as, like, on the team. And what I have always tried to be as an instructional coach is basically being that voice for the teachers, being an advocate. And I remember when I, 20 years ago, 20 years ago when I coached in Dallas and being new on the admin team. And really, I became a life coach because I saw that my colleagues, which were, my friends, teachers that I was trying to coach, that um, they were not, they were getting burnt out very quickly. And I wanted to go to the principal and say, hey, we are focusing on this piece, the academic piece. We need to widen our lens and let's look at our teachers and helping them thrive in the classroom so that their kids can thrive because there's a connection there. So I think when you are sitting, with others that are in administration that are making those key decisions, I think it's very important that we have a wider lens versus a narrow lens, um, walk, we try to put ourselves in the shoes of the teacher, just like when we're reading, we try to make connections with with Arthur, we, put ourselves in that story. And that's so important. Like as administrators, we cannot lose touch of what is happening in the classroom with teachers and making sure that they are resilient and giving them the tools that they need to be successful.
I've said that so many times that, as an administrator, I really strive not to forget what it's like to be a teacher. Because I think that those are the leaders who unfortunately do that often have a really rough time, right? Because they sort of that empathy level, it is not where it needs to be. And even though I've not had my own classroom for a few years. It's been a little while. Um,
Yeah.
but I do like to really, I try really hard to listen to teachers and to try to get the flow of what's happening so that I can make adjustments. And maybe there are moments when, I might be asking them to do something and they're like, oh my gosh, there's this one more thing she's asking us to do, right? And I'm like, what's the problem? What's the big deal? No, right? But then that means that I'm probably not tapping into what's happening on a broader level. So I have to make some adjustments if I'm going to try to be the leader that I want to be, right? And remembering what that struggle can feel like sometimes to try to get everything done and stick to your scope and sequence and all of those things. Like
Yes.
it's
You're
it gets
pacing.
rough.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I definitely hear that. So I'm curious about yeah, especially particularly you, Kamaria, in terms of leadership. And do you hold a teacher leadership role right now in your building?
Yeah, so that was one of the things I was going to touch on for like the to answer the question. So, as a teacher, I served as the chairperson of our PBIS committee. And for those who may not know what PBIS means, it's Positive Behavior Intervention Supports. Is a program or a framework that provides multifaceted interventions for students based on their behavior and supporting their direct needs. So, as chairperson of that committee, me and my team, we were responsible for establishing routines and norms that teachers could adopt in their classrooms to promote a positive, healthy learning environment for their students, especially for their Black and Brown students. And within our role as a teacher, as the chairperson, but also as a teacher too, I really feel like a lot of times as teachers, outside factors, whether policies or social media, they try to undermine the power teachers really have in their classrooms. We have so much power to transform our kids. I always say all the time, the classroom is the most transformative place that is in the school building because that's the room, that's the place where the kids are having that one-on-one contact. Teachers are the frontline workers in education. So we're the ones who's work with the kids, teaching them, being there for them. And we are also the ones who are advocating for them for their needs. So I know for me personally, throughout my years of being a teacher and also serving in our leadership role, I have seen firsthand the power that I have as a teacher to advocate for my students, to my admin, and even to my other colleagues within my building. And for me personally, like I'm one of few Black teachers in my building but we have a lot of Black and brown kids in our school. So me advocating for my kids is something that I hold so deep to, because I know if I don't advocate for them, then who will? Then who will? So being that now leadership role as a chairperson, I saw how much power I had just in that role as a teacher, or even just as a leader amongst my coworkers, how much I was able to advocate and push back against resistance from my coworkers, or even sometimes from administration, when it came to figuring out what was best for our students of color.
Love that.
Love that. Love that.
Love that.
I'm curious. I'm gonna go off script a little bit though.
Okay.
Marcia, based on what Kamari has said, I'm thinking about you in a coaching capacity, and thinking about what she said, and thinking about the context, right? Because context is everything, right? What as a coach, what would you do to support Kamaria?
Wow. First of all, Kamari, I love your energy. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yay.
What would I do to support Kamari? I think as an instructional coach, to support a teacher like Kamaria, definitely supporting her in ways where she may feel like, I want to try this. And so I'm here meeting her where she is, but I want to go higher, because she is definitely advocating for her Black and brown students. And so, what vision does she see in her classroom? Now math is not my thing, okay? So, but maybe she wants to bring, maybe she's like, I want to bring camaraderie to my kids. And so, where I want the space to be inviting, and I want them to feel empowered. And so, I remember being a first year teacher in Dallas, Texas. I was a fourth grade teacher where I taught all the subjects. And I wanted to build community in the classroom. And so one of the first things that I did was we had a statement that we would say, I am special and unique. And so talking with Kumari and see what it is that you want to bring special to your classroom. Like when your students walk in, whether it's a high five, or when we stand, we're gonna say this statement, I am, where we craft it together, because I believe kids can thrive in a structured environment, especially where they feel empowered. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I love coming to school. I love being in Mr. Karaya's class, because even though I don't like math, she just makes me feel like I can do anything. And so bringing that energy, like heighten it up. And so, but I think that's kind of best where I can support her.
I love that, by the way. Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Coming to Detroit.
Kamaria, that was for free. You're welcome.
Okay, no, I'll take that. Thank you.
That was off the rip. Thank you.
Jocelyn.
Yeah. So, I mean, in what ways in what ways have you had to reimagine or redefine leadership for yourself? And just thinking about you and making that impact that we're talking about, like what ways had you had to like kind of reflect and reimagine or redefine?
Well, I think for me, because I think, as as educators, we all go through our different seasons. And I think for me, Reimagine is my brand, Reimagine her. And so I think for me, Reimagine, I had to envision myself as the leader that I would want. If I were, in that classroom, if I was that person. So what type of leader would I want for me? Would I want someone, definitely want someone who is hands-on. I definitely want someone who is empathetic, who is listening to me, someone who has walked a mile in my shoes, someone who is not coming based on what they read in a book, but have done it, have gotten their hands dirty, have, been in different spaces who sees me as a real person, not just I'm a teacher, I'm an instructional coach, but a person. I'm a person. I go through my highs, my lows, my different seasons. Sees me like I care about you. How are you doing today? Is everything okay? And so that is where I believe that I have to reimagine.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that too, Marcia, especially that part when you mentioned about not being just a teacher. I believe for a good portion of my education journey, even now in grad school, I have to catch myself like, well, I'm just a teacher or I'm just a grad student. And I have to say, like, no, like you're more than that. You're making impact that is what, even if that is your role according to the district, that is so much more than what you can have. It's so much more than like what is on paper. Like you're doing so much more. And I believe that also led me to like really reimagine leadership as something where I don't need the approval of others and not caring about what people have to say, and being okay with standing on my own business if nobody is giving me applause. And doing that while at the same time acknowledging the fact that I'm more than just a teacher, because sometimes teachers, they just okay with just being a teacher. I know that even though I am a teacher, I know I'm doing more than just being a teacher. And it's okay for me to define myself outside of that. And I'm okay with doing that outside of the applause of other people. So I believe my leadership, and I had to reimagine that, especially recently, about the fact that I may not get the approval of people at my school or the people in my own family about what I'm doing, what I'm going for, but I'm still going to do what I know is right for me and what is true to my own heart.
Absolutely.
Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, and I have to say, like you spoke a whole entire word. That's one, but the fact that you are I guess still an early to mid career teacher,
Yeah.
and you are in that space, then that's your mindset is so refreshing to those of us who have been in this game for just a few extra years. I'm actually not embarrassed because this is my year 29. So I'm like screaming it from the rooftops, because it is something to really sustain yourself in this work, and knowing that you are doing it because you want things to be better for the students in front of you, and that if you don't speak, if you don't keep speaking, if you don't keep asking the questions, if you don't keep, quietly demanding or loudly demanding what is really needed and what is right, then we're just going to be stuck on this hamster wheel, right? So using the spaces that we're in, using the areas of influence that we have is so critical. And so, the next question is kind of about, there are ways to do that. And I'm wondering if you all could identify some strategies that maybe you have used to advocate for equity and excellence within the position and the roles that you have. And I understand too, it can be hard to kind of pull those things out. So even if you have like a scenario that you wanted to share, but how do you feel like you have been advocating for equity and excellence in your roles?
I would say for me, what I have done, a strategy that I do is, I forgot the statement or the phrase, but it goes along the lines of do it now, ask for forgiveness later. Like just go for it and then ask for forgiveness later. That's how I that's how I have learned to navigate it. There have been times, especially earlier in my career, where I have wanted to like ask for approval for something and wanted to say like, oh, let me see if my higher ups are okay with this. Oh, let me get the advice from this person. And I've learned when I've done that, it would be beneficial. But then at the same time, I already know what would be the right thing to do. And I'll more so do that out of a place of fear of doing something wrong, or a fear of not getting their yay or a nay. And honestly, I just got to a point where I'm like, you know what? If it's wrong, it's wrong. But I'm just gonna go for it, see what happens. If it comes forth, it'll come forth. Like
Yeah.
there's a time where I show my kids a movie. Like I said, I teach in a district where a lot of black and brown kids, not a lot of black and brown staff. So when the teachers show movies, I'm showing movies like Jackie Robinson, 42. I'm showing movies like the one with Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx. I forgot the name of the movie, but I'm showing those kind of movies to my kids. And I'm like, you know what? Will I get in trouble in my administration, or will other teachers snitch on me? You know what? I really don't care. I'm just going to ask for forgiveness later. They need to see this. That's something, but they need to go. And when I show those movies, my kids like, well, I didn't know this. I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, this is y'all history. Y'all need to know about this. So I'm that kind of person. I got to a point where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. If it comes through, it comes through. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
I love it. I love it.
I sit in that club as well. Ask for forgiveness later.
Me too. Yeah. What did Rosa Parks say? She said, what was that? That thing, the women who play by the rules rarely make history. And so I think, you know, what was that her? Who said that?
I don't know who it was, but it was a powerful woman.
It was a powerful woman that said that. Yeah, and
later.
so it's like you rarely make history, and so I think as definitely as a leader or where a person, women, we have that special ability, right? We are so intuitive, and so I think like the way that I have perceived it is asking questions, being intuitive, sensing the environment, the culture, and again doing what's best for kids and for teachers, and you can't go wrong.
I love that. I love that. So, looking ahead, what kind of legacy do you hope your leadership will leave for your students, for the teachers that you serve, or just your community in general? Yeah.
You
I
wanna
gotta
go
think
ahead?
about this.
Either
Okay.
one you can start
Okay,
from.
yeah.
I love that we're modeling that positive wait time. We love it. It's great because it's what we do. This is the education.
I know,
We all in
right?
the field of
Right.
education. This is important to think process because that is how we support our students, and that's feedback.
Yeah.
But thinking about your legacy.
I think for me, I definitely want to leave a legacy to teachers, to students, those who are in the community, as a person who smiled, showed up and smiled regardless of what was going on in my life. I showed up, I was smiling, energetic, passionate, and they saw that. It wasn't like with an attitude or anything like that. They saw me as a person who took risks, a person who um, went above and beyond, a person who got in the trenches, who wasn't scared, who wasn't from the back of the room with my clipboard. Who didn't come in as someone who I'm coming in to critique, but someone who came in truly as an advocate for them, not as I got you, but I got you. I understand because I've been there before, and sharing my real world experiences where they see like they didn't see me as an instructional coach, but they see me as like, yeah, I was once a teacher too. I was once in your shoes. I was scared just like you were scared, and you can do it. And then for that person to trust me with the things that are going on, the things that they're scared of, and then walking with me on that journey so that they can take those risks, those leaps and bounds, and we can accomplish those big goals together. Um, and they saw and they see me as just, hey, I'm an educator just like you. And that's the legacy that I'm hoping to leave.
That's powerful. That's
That is
powerful.
powerful.
Thank you.
I would say for me, I want to be someone who is known to advocate and stand up for what is right, regardless of what was thrown at me. I want my students or my colleagues to know that Kamaria or Miss Barnes, she was somebody who was not afraid to stand up for something. Like if she felt like something was wrong, she's gonna speak up about it. If she didn't like something, she's gonna say something. And if she was in agreement, she'll say it. If she wasn't in agreement, she'll say it. I just want to be known as somebody who spoke the truth and stood up for what was right. But also, as of lately, especially after taking my graduate courses, I also want to be known as somebody who is willing to be vulnerable and show up in my whole self. Like, I don't want somebody to look at me and say, "Oh yeah, she did that, but she on the facade." Like, I want people to know, like, no, I came up as my whole authentic self as I stood up for truth.
Beautiful. That is
Love that.
beautiful.
Yeah.
The last piece, the last question we're going to get ready to close is, you know, what advice would you give to educators who might not hold that leadership title, but really have that drive and passion to make an impact and to be influential? What might you share with them to encourage them to move forward?
Well, oh, go ahead.
No, you go. Go ahead. You got it.
I would say, girl, you are already a leader. Do it scared. Get off the sidelines. I saw
Mhm.
you looking at you were looking and you have leadership skills in your classroom, just as Kamar was saying. It's like, what, didn't you tell me you got some marketing skills that you like to do? And you can be a leader within your classroom, do it scared, get off the sidelines, use the skills that you have to
We lost her somehow.
That's okay.
Let's see. That's okay. Hopefully she'll come
That's
back.
okay.
All right. Kamara, you want to pick up?
Yeah, I was gonna say like I agree with what Marcia was saying about showing like you do lead where you are at. Just because you may not have the official title, a title doesn't define leadership. Leadership is about you being willing to step out and be the change that you want to see. So it may
Mhm.
start with within your classroom, it may start with your coworkers, but you being willing to show up and do something that's different and being showing up and doing the right thing, that's all you need to be as a leader. And then I'll also add to that too is do it as your whole self. Like as you are leading, as you are doing things differently, do it as your whole self. Don't try to mimic somebody. Like don't try to mimic your role model teacher or what you see on TikTok or social media. Just do what you know fits for you. If that means you show up and you just regurgitate math facts every day or you have that bubbly personality, regardless, it's going to fit you. And when you do that, it gives you more confidence to be able to be the change that you want to see.
Awesome. Awesome. Great words.
Love that. Love that.
All right. Well, I'm so sad Marcia had dropped off, but we are, I think she is ready. She's here.
Yeah, she said, please let me in.
Back in. Let's see.
Yeah, she's there she is. Let's see if we can get her back in. But she hasn't shown up just yet. Oh, there she is. Hold on. We're coming back to the stage. Welcome. Let me bring her back up. There she
Yay.
is.
Yay!
All right. Well, you're welcome to finish your thought, Marcia.
In a world where a lot of individuals, and I was one of those early teachers who was in the classroom, but then I always wanted to do other things, and I looked for opportunities. I would say to that person who is eager to start things that you are already a leader, says
Mhm.
you are already a leader. You can get off the sidelines. You can do it scared. There are many opportunities within your building that you can use and do. You can also tap into your own passions. If you're a person who loves social media or marketing, or you like to tell others like what a great school you have, you get, sign up to be a part of the recruiting committee. And so there's lots of ways that you can show up as a leader within your school without having the title.
Yes. And
Absolutely.
I agree with
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Kamaria said something very similar. Well,
Yay.
ladies, oh, go ahead.
No, I
no,
just
that
said yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on this episode of Lead Girl. And we hope that our audience was inspired by your stories and your insights on the theme of leading from where you are. What we've heard today, I believe, is a powerful reminder that leadership is not confined to titles or positions, but about the impact that you make and the influence you have, the legacy that you leave, the voices that you lift up. And whether you're teaching in the classroom or guiding through coaching or whatever you have, leading a committee, your leadership matters. And people are going to see that when you're leading with authenticity and heart for the work that you do. So as you go forward, remember, you don't have to wait for permission to lead. You already carry the influence, the vision, and the purpose to create that change right where you are.
Yes. And so we want to thank you all for listening to Lead Girl, the Be Well podcast, where we amplify the voices of Black women in educational leadership. Be Well is a nonprofit organization open for membership for you to serve and be served. So, if you are a Black woman in educational leadership, we are looking for you. So, become a member or support us by visiting blackwomeneducationleaders.com and follow us on social media on X, LinkedIn, and Facebook.
Tune in for upcoming episodes on a variety of topics that are sure to be relevant to your personal growth and professional practice. We invite and encourage you to give us feedback or request to join our show. Email us at bewellpodcast@gmail.com or reach out to us on social media at leaders_black on all platforms. See you next time. And I just want to add this one piece. Congratulations to Marcia and Kamaria, who this is their first podcast episode. So you all crushed it. Yay!
Yay.
is.
Thank you so much for having me. Oh my
Thank you
goodness.
so
Thank
much.
you. Thank
You
you
are
for the
more than
opportunity. Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you.
See you next time, everybody. Until then, lead, girl.
Lead
You better
girl.
leave.
You
Yes.
better.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.